Mrs. Sims here. Here is another story. This one actually has a lot of application for us as we are going through our coronavirus situation. This is a version of the story of Chicken Little, and as I've mentioned before, there are some famous stories that we have heard over and over during our lifetimes that are available in different versions, different kinds of the same story. And this one has a little bit of a different feel to it, especially when we're reading it now during this coronavirus time. All right, I am going to be asking you some questions about this, so I need you to really listen carefully. Thank you for your patience. I'm broadcasting from a different place in the house here, and so the lighting will be a little different as I'm experimenting with this. Thank you so much for your patience. All right, the story is Chicken Little, a Cautionary Tale, and this book is by George Bridge. I want you to listen very carefully. The artwork in it is just beautiful. Chicken Little, a Cautionary Tale. One day, a few years ago, Chicken Little caused quite a panic. This is what happened. Chicken Little was leaving for school on a sunny, happy morning when an acorn fell from a tree and landed on his head. Panic! Chicken Little got scared. The sky is falling, he thought. Please look carefully at the drawings that I'm showing you because I'm going to ask you to do something at the end of this recording having to do with drawing. The sky is falling! The sky is falling! Chicken Little screamed as he ran. Henny Penny was walking to school when she heard the news. Panic! She was really scared, so she ran with her friend. The sky is falling! The sky is falling! Chicken Little and Henny Penny screamed as they ran. Turkey Lurkey was waiting for the school bus when he heard the news. Panic! He was really scared, so he ran with his friends. The sky is falling! The sky is falling! Chicken Little and Henny Penny and Turkey Lurkey screamed as they ran. Look at their mouths. Tongues are hanging out. Their mouths are open. They're running as fast as they can. What is happening? Never heard of the sky falling. Dizzy Ducky was skateboarding to school when she heard the news. Panic. She was really scared. So she ran with her friends. The sky is falling. The sky is falling. Chicken Little and Henny Penny and Turkey Lurkey and Dizzy Ducky screamed as they ran. Look at their arms out to their sides. They're looking like they're sweating, perspiration coming off of them as they're running. Where did they go? The sky's falling. The sky's everywhere. Where do we go? What do we do? This problem is everywhere. The sky is everywhere. Foxy Loxy was sitting outside his cave, feeling hungry, when he heard the news. Opportunity. Chance. He wasn't scared, but he was hungry. "Run in here! Run in here!" he screamed. And that is just what the friends did. "Now I've got you. Feed me," shouted Foxy Loxy as he slammed the door. Okay, before we go on, I want to give you some things to think about from this story. Chicken Little thought the sky was falling. But it was really what that had fallen on her head, or his head. What had fallen on his head? Okay. He thought it was the sky. It really was an acorn that had hit him in the head. Then when he ran and he told that story to a friend, the friend jumps in and joins him, and then another friend and another friend and another friend. So the fear that Chicken Little felt in his heart, even though he was mistaken, even though it was really an acorn and it wasn't the sky, he was telling other people, and they got more and more and more fearful. It's kind of like what's happening with the coronavirus. Sometimes you'll hear something and later on we find out something wasn't really true, but the person who started saying something really thought what they were telling somebody else was true. So we want to be careful about what we're hearing from people. You want to talk to your parents about any feelings that you have about feeling sad or fearful during this time. Next, you'll remember in what we've read in the story so far that more animals panicked until several people were already in a panic, and they ended up walking into this situation with the fox. So we had Chicken Little, Henny Penny, Turkey Lurkey, and Dizzy Ducky, all screaming and running together. Panic made it hard for them to think. The other animals forgot that Foxy Loxy was a fox. And foxes like to eat chickens, hens, turkeys, and ducks. Now the animals were locked in a cave. Okay, let's pick up from there. Remember, his last comments had been that now the fox has food because he used the opportunity, the situation, to be able to trap these animals. Stuck inside the cave, the friends began to think. Then they began to talk. Then they began to figure out what had started the panic. Then they felt silly. "We need to get out of here," said Chicken Little. Now, instead of being scared, Chicken Little felt brave. All of his friends followed Chicken Little as he snuck out of the cave and into the sunshine. Then they ran off to school. So Chicken Little made the choice not to be afraid, not to think about the fear that he was feeling in his heart, but to think about the facts. The facts were they were in a tough situation and they needed a way to get out of it. They needed to think about what they could do to make the situation better. When the animals were in the cave, they began to think, they began to talk with each other, and they began to figure out their problem. They were able to solve their problem. They weren't just fearful the whole time and thinking about their fear and then hearing other fearful stories that made them even more scared. When we're fearful, it's hard to make a really good decision. It's hard to think positively when you're afraid. When Chicken Little said no to fear and turned away, when she turned away from being afraid, she thought clearly. Chicken Little became brave and showed the others around her how to leave the cave and how to go to a safe place. And she also showed her friends how to be brave. "Life is good," Chicken Little and Henny Penny and Turkey Lurkey and Dizzy Ducky screamed as they ran. And from that day forward, Chicken Little and Henny Penny and Turkey Lurkey and Dizzy Ducky did not get scared so easily. They did not panic. They knew that being brave and staying cool was way more fun. The end. Okay, I have some more things here for you to think about from this very simple story, the simple version of the story of Chicken Little. Okay, some of you have moms and dads who have to be very brave in their jobs. As a police officer, your mom may go into scary situations. As a fireman, your dad says no to fear as he runs toward a fire that he knows is dangerous so that he can go in and help people. I know you could give me a list of things that your parents do that are very brave things. Okay, in the Bible, we might think about David and Goliath. In that story, David chose to move toward Goliath, even though he was little, even though he was not a trained soldier, even though he didn't have the equipment that trained soldiers were supposed to have and supposed to be able to use. David moved toward Goliath instead of being afraid and holding back like his brothers had done and like other soldiers during that time did. David chose to move toward Goliath because David trusted God, and God helped David to not be afraid. Do you know other people in the Bible who tried not to be afraid? Think about other Bible stories that you've heard. Another one that came to my mind was Queen Esther, and how she knew that if you went before the king, and she was going before the king to ask him for a favor, to ask him for something special, she knew that he could decide not to listen to her and to hurt her or to hurt other people. And she went because of her faith in God, and because someone who was godly had counseled her and told her, this is a good choice. What you're wanting to do is a good choice. You need to consider doing this. And God helped to give her the faith to go in there and to speak up to the king. By doing so, she saved the lives of a lot of people. So, do you know of other places in the Bible where people tried not to be afraid? Can you think of a Bible character who turned to God instead of crying and being afraid? These are fearful times that we're in right now. And for people, especially who are younger, they may not be able to think of a time that they've ever felt this fearful. So again, you want to talk to your parents about your feelings of fear, and you also want to pray to God and ask Him to help you. Another thing to think about, when we are afraid, we can choose to turn toward God, because God wants to help us if we will ask Him. So when you find yourself feeling a little bit afraid, you're hearing the news or something, you can stop and pray to God and just ask God to help you not be afraid. You can make choices to go and do other things instead of sitting in front of the television for a long time. You've been thinking about random acts of kindness that you can do for other people, that you can do at home without having to leave and be around people. Phone calls that you can make. Videos that you can make and send to your family that live in other places. We can keep from being afraid. We can make choices that when our minds are afraid, we're going to pray. If we wake up in the night and we're afraid, we're going to pray and talk to God, because God wants to hear from us. And we show that we have faith in God when we turn toward Him. Another thing to think about. Why do we sometimes keep being afraid? Why do you think when we're afraid of something, we keep being afraid? Maybe we keep thinking about it, something that made us afraid before, and it makes us afraid all over again. Maybe a friend is with us and they remind us of a time when we were afraid, and it makes us in our hearts think about what it was like to be scared about that thing before, and now we're afraid again. So during this time, I want you to be thinking about when we feel afraid. In the Bible it says, when I feel afraid, I will trust in you. And the more that we can have the habit of turning to God, of talking to God when we're afraid, the better off we're going to be. This story is not from the Bible. The story of Chicken Little is not found in the Bible. But it is a reminder for us that when we're afraid, we want to talk to God. We want to talk to other people who can help us, like our parents. We don't want to keep being afraid and being fearful. Here's something I want you to do before we finish up today. This book is a really, really nice book because of the drawings in it. I'm going to ask you to turn the video back and look at some of the pictures that I showed you. And I'm going to ask you to draw each of the main characters. So you're going to go back and you're going to draw Chicken Little and Turkey Lurkey. Here is a drawing of both of them. If you want to go back into the video and pull it up there, that's fine. If you want to just pull up these at the very end to look at, I'm going to give you some of these main characters that I'm going to show you. And then I want you to go ahead and take a pencil and paper and sketch these. You are doing fine. I want to see the kind of drawings you can do. I'm not expecting you to draw it like an artist would. I would like you to do the sketch, and then when the video's over, if you can get some crayons or colored pencils and color those in. I have been getting some things sent back to me through email. Your parents could also choose to just fill this library time in on your log sheet for your specials, and then I could see them when all of this is over after we're back in our school schedule. Okay, this was Henny Penny and Chicken Little. This is Turkey Lurkey. If you want to look again at this large picture, Turkey Lurkey. To do a sketch, think about where you would put the eyes, the nose, the mouth. Here is Dizzy Ducky on the skateboard. Here is a picture that shows all of them. Remember, when you draw something with a pencil, you want to go over it. Once you have colored it, you want to go ahead and go around it, either with a marker if you have that or something dark. It's called outlining, and it helps your picture to show up. Now we have the picture of the fox, who was another main character. Okay, here's some other images that you might want to look back at. Again, you can pick any of these that you would like to do. So you're going to draw the main characters in this story, starting with Chicken Little and ending with the fox. And then I'm going to show you some other pictures in the drawings, and I would like you to draw 3 more things that you see. You might notice bees flying around flowers in some of the pictures. You might want to draw a bee. You might want to draw an acorn. You might want to draw a tree. You might want to draw a school. You might want to draw a barn. Feel free to color in the flowers any way you'd like to. Someone had mentioned how much they like the sheep. So I'm going to go back over here to this picture and show you the sheep together. Okay, I'm going to go to another section just because I think this might be interesting for you to see. You can take this and draw the cows if you'd like from here. Okay. Okay, the very last of this, I want to mention one thing to you. I would like you to write for me, if you can, a paragraph, which would be 5 sentences or more, if you can do that. If you're a kindergartner, you can just do this by talking to whoever's watching this video with you. Could be a brother or sister, or it might be a parent or a grandparent. If you could just take time to write a paragraph about a time when you were fearful that you remember. And we know that when we're fearful, we need to turn to God. Sometimes we let ourselves get fearful, and then we're like, I wish I had gone to God about that first. I wish I had prayed to Him about that the first time I felt afraid. When I'm afraid, I will trust in you. So, again, you can write a paragraph if you can sit and do that, or if you're a kindergartner, you can talk to someone about your feelings about fear. And I want you to think also, what are some things that you are fearful of? What are some things that make you afraid? And talk with your parents about those things. So when you turn this off, you can finish your drawings, you can do your writing, and you can talk to your family about your thoughts. Have a good day.